Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we talk with our expert on farm equipment, Sam O'Toole from New Frontier Ag. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, along with our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919, kfb.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leading in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online, kswheat.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future of Kansas corn. Online, kscorn.com. In agricultural news from agview.net, since last you and I met, Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue announced that USDA is moving the Economic Research Service and the National Institute of Food and Agriculture to the Kansas City region. Perdue said the site selection process was rigorous and that the Kansas City region provides a win-win situation. He said it maximizes the mission function by putting taxpayer savings into programs and providing affordability, easy commutes, and extraordinary living for the employees. Perdue said the Kansas City region has proven itself to be a hub for all things agriculture, and it's a booming city in America's heartland. USDA conducted a cost-benefit analysis, and conservative estimates show a savings of nearly $300 million nominally on things like employment costs and rent over the course of a 15-year lease term. Now, what that means? Well, the savings of about $20 million a year. That means more funding available for research of critical needs like rural prosperity and agricultural competitiveness. Now, as you can imagine, Kansas and Missouri celebrated after this successful united effort. Senate Ag Committee Chairman Pat Roberts of Kansas said that the research that will occur at the National Bio-Agri-Defense Facility near Manhattan, or MBAF, and the research that already occurs throughout the Kansas City Animal Health Corridor, he said, makes Kansas City a natural fit. But the process to reach Kansas City has been mired by some controversy and some call a lack of transparency. Employees of both agencies voted to unionize to negotiate in opposition to that move. Those unionized employees of the Economic Research Service and National Institute of Food and Agriculture demonstrated to show that they weren't very happy about having to relocate to Kansas City area. Several employees actually rose and then turned their backs to Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue during an afternoon meeting when he wanted to talk about the relocation plans of the agencies to the metro area. The Hagstrom report said that the protest was put together by the American Federation of Government Employees. The organization says the move to KC is nothing but an attempt to undermine the employees' scientific work. And in a move anticipated for weeks now, Tyson Foods has introduced its first ever venture into plant-based meat alternative products. The company also announced it'll be selling additional products that combine the traditional meat blended with plant proteins. Tyson adds a new brand to its collection of products. It'll be called Raised and Rooted. The company says the first product of the new brand name will be a plant-based nugget coming out later this summer through some various national retailers. Well, you want a burger? Well, those blended burgers, they say, will be available to the general public sometime this fall. Tyson is saying that these are healthier than competing plant-based only patties. That's Ag News. More coming up. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web, oldeseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And Kansas Grain Sorghum, growers working together. More at ksgrainsorghum.org.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
And joining us, Sam O'Toole from New Frontier Ag in McCook, Nebraska. We've had Sam on for a number of times. We like to get on quarterly, but it's been a few months since we've been able to talk to him and get his take on what's going on with this machinery business. And so, Sam, always good to catch up with you.
Well, thank you.
All right, so let's get to it. We haven't talked since the winter. We're now into spring, almost early summer. How has the winter gone, and what's kind of the hot items right now into this springtime?
Kind of a strange springtime with this much moisture everywhere. Planters were really hot early in the spring. The haying equipment has been late starting out. It's really starting to go here a couple months later than normal. Small tractors seem to be, again, haying type tractors, that type of thing has been going here pretty good. The big horsepower tractors, the combines seem to kind of be a little slow.
Well, that's what we're kind of seeing from Associated Equipment Manufacturing. So the four-wheel drives seem to kind of, they're off their high, but we did see maybe a small pattern of some combine sales just kind of getting in, but don't you think because of the uncertainty of harvest, we probably won't see a big push for combines? Or what do you think?
Oh, probably. There's actually, it just depends on the models. It seems like we got some models that are selling fairly decent and some that we just have way too much inventory in the United States on, and we're going to kind of see a slowdown on those models.
We still pretty hot for green equipment, or does it really matter whose it is? Are they looking? Are farmers looking for value, or for or price, or those trusted ones that they know they can get good service on?
Oh, I think you got both buyers. I mean, I don't think there hasn't been a lot of loyalty switching just because of price or because of that. So.
What about some financing options? We'd like to talk to you about you have a lot of different ways in your business as far as folks want to do cash, maybe traditional financing, non-traditional. Is leasing still what it was, say, maybe a year ago?
No, leasing from the big companies, Deere and Case and stuff, it's not near as attractive as it used to be. Your other banks, AgDirect, TCI, some of those, they still have some attractive programs for maybe couple-year-old tractors, equipment, sprayers, that kind of thing.
Okay. We're talking with Sam O'Toole from New Frontier Ag. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more in just a moment. Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau. a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. And AgView.net, covering news and views in the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt. Reliable and relevant, AgView.net.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here, the time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Our guest this week is Sam O'Toole from New Frontier Ag in McCook, and we're talking about some of the trends, some of the things he's seeing in this farm equipment business. Well, Sam, we've talked in this first segment a lot about tractors and maybe some combines. Let's talk about some of that tillage equipment, some of those other pieces that come together. You have a couple of multiple locations, and you also talk to farmers all over the countryside. I guess what's hot in some of those equipment pieces?
The land rollers still seem to be coming on strong. There's so many different uses for them. We're seeing a lot of rental requests for those. A lot of guys buying 20, 30-foot units in the land roller. Using them for all different applications. The alfalfa guys are really liking them, and the guys are really using them a lot for rolling corn stalks and that type of thing.
Because of the winter, kind of fall and winter being different than we've experienced, and in some areas still dealing with a lot of flooding and just wet conditions, has that really slowed everything? You know, are we a quarter behind? Are we a couple months behind when it comes to even the cycle of your business as far as folks wanting to maybe deal in some equipment?
You know, we didn't see a big run in the tillage this year just because of that. I think it was just so wet, and people weren't able to get out and strip till and do the vertical tillage like they wanted to, and it was just really late, and they did a lot more no-till and just tried to get everything in the ground as fast as they could.
So looking maybe towards the future, things are drying out. We may get to some sense of normalcy, if you will, for this year. Are farmers talking to you now about maybe in the fall some needs possibly, or if other folks in your business, what are maybe the trends going to be? You know,
we've had those medium to large size farmers that haven't bought anything for a couple of years. They're in that needed time that they need to roll that one tractor or something, and they're not going to buy a lot, but they are going to buy a couple pieces just to keep updated. Sure. Okay, so folks want to talk with you, get kind of some more information. You also just go all over finding the right piece of equipment so folks can contact you, and your kind of bird dog kind of saves them some time from running all over. How can they get a hold of you? On our website, newfrontierag.com, or they can call me at 308-340-8989. All right. Sam O'Toole from New Frontier Ag in McCook has joined us for this segment. So stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Trust and leadership are critical to success at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan. Just ask Coach Bill Snyder.
People of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed with those people that have that vested interest and try to help people become better. The center really is a wonderful thing here in Manhattan, first of its kind. We're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Find out more about the trusted leader in stem cell therapy at kansasrmc.com. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
I am so excited to be here in Kansas this morning for the Yoga on Farm event hosted by Common Ground Kansas. It's really exciting because I've heard so much about it. They've done it a few times over the years, and I've heard rave reviews and really interesting conversations with consumers that came about because of such events. So being a part of it really is a fascinating thing at the national level. Common Ground, I think, is such a fabulous program because National Corn came together with their counterparts at the state level from both corn and soy associations. And now in 20 states, over 9 years, we've built up more than 200 volunteers that go out and have real mom-to-mom conversations from the farm to the city about what matters to both of them and their shared values, how much they care about their family, how much they care about their food, and how much they care about doing the right thing by their family. There's a lot of worry and concern about foods and how they're raised and grown, and I think a lot of people on the farm innately know that but don't know what they can do. Common Ground gives farmers a voice. They're the heart of the program, and it's truly grassroots. To come together with other people who share their concerns and their passion, and to take it and make something real and a real connection with consumers that can make them feel more trust and like they don't have to fear their food. The women who are part of this program are so passionate. Each and every one of them has a unique story to tell, and they tell it themselves. So we're incredibly excited at National Corn Growers to support this, to be part of it in Kansas, and to be out here in Kansas today supporting their event and everything they do.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. AgView.net.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Today we are talking about planting decisions. Lots of information to go over, which we will share. We've got some stuff on a website.
I do want to touch a little bit on the market facilitation program. It was newly announced. The key couple of things are they added a few other crops. Normally we look at what I call Farm Bill Title I commodity programs. They've added alfalfa to that. Sorghum is listed, so we don't know if that means sorghum silage also. And a lot of other smaller crops like lentils are involved in that. And kind of one of the key things is payments are not going to be dependent on the crops you plant, but they're basically going to be a county level rate based on the county. So it will be paid on the, let me see, I'll just read it here. Instead, the payment is based on a single county rate multiplied by a farmer's total plantings to those crops in 2019. But your total payment eligible plantings cannot exceed 2018 plantings of those same crops. Bottom line is, you kind of want to make sure that list of crops you're planting as many acres this year as you did last year. That opens up a lot of questions, because what if I'm in western Kansas and I've got fallow? What if last year I fallowed quite a bit and now I've got more plantings? I won't get paid for those. Or if last year I planted a lot of crops and this year I have a lot of fallow. So there's some mixed, some unanswered questions. Farm Bureau has written to USDA. We want to get some clarification on how fallow will be impacted, on how they're going to look at sorghum, whether sorghum silage is part of that or whether sorghum hay is part of that. We need more clarification. We haven't got that clarification.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
With a passion for agriculture and research, the 2019 recipient of the Herb Clutter Memorial Scholarship is Georgia Elliott of Pratt, Kansas. This $500 scholarship will help Elliott pursue her degree in biology with an emphasis in botany at Fort Hays State University, where she has already began taking courses through the Kansas Academy of Math and Science. She has already been active on the agricultural research scene. Elliott is involved with studying the effects of toxins like ethanol, lactic acid, and sulfide on various crops around Kansas. The goal is to see how much of these toxins the plants can be exposed to before they cause damage to the plant. She is working to have a publication that would summarize the research published this summer. Raised in rural Kansas, Elliott knew agriculture was just a part of the fiber of her being. She wanted to be a part of agriculture and has a passion for research and science. The Herb Clutter Memorial Scholarship was established through a fund in memory of Herbert W. Clutter, a farmer from Holcomb and the first president of the National Association of Wheat Growers. The history of the Kansas Association of Wheat Growers and the Kansas Wheat Commission is enriched with the memory and lasting leadership of Clutter and his family. Applicants for the annual Herb Clutter Memorial Scholarship must be incoming freshmen from Kansas who will be full-time students at any 2- or 4-year Kansas college or university. They should plan to pursue a career in the field of agriculture.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Members of the Kansas congressional delegation can help ranchers and feeders continue to benefit from unrestricted cattle and beef trade by expeditiously approving the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. The new agreement would allow science-based, duty-free beef trade between the three countries to continue as it has under the North American Free Trade Agreement. Since NAFTA went into effect in 1993, U.S. beef exports to Mexico have surged 545%, while those to Canada have increased 106%. U.S. beef exports currently are worth $323 per head of fed cattle, with Mexico and Canada accounting for $70 of the total. In the case of Mexico, Consumers there are willing to pay more for beef items like tongue, tripe, and heart that have little value in our domestic market. This added value is shared back through the beef value chain to stocker operators and cow-calf producers. While USMCA improves on NAFTA in certain areas, it is pretty difficult from the beef industry's perspective to do better than zero tariffs, zero quotas, and science-based standards. Beef producers are pleased USMCA makes no major changes to the market access provisions that have benefited the U.S. cattle and beef industry. The Kansas Livestock Association and its 5,500 members are encouraging the Kansas congressional delegation to be leaders by stepping forward in support of swift ratification of USMCA.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device, news and views on grains, livestock policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Hi everyone, Zach Otot here with Paragon Ag. The corn market gained strength this week after the USDA supply and demand report that came out on Tuesday. They cut the expected acres by 3 million and yield estimates lowered from 176 to 166 bushels per acre. This almost came to a surprise to the trade, as USDA doesn't normally throw us a curveball like that. Funds began buying and we saw corn maintain double-digit gains across the board Tuesday. The market is still watching the weather closely. We are in the second week of June and there are still acres of corn that are being planted. As of this past Monday, we were sitting at 83% planted, well behind schedule. With shorter season corn, a later pollination, and some folks mudding the seed in, this will have an impact on yield when we get to harvest. The trade is still trying to figure out just how much corn will be planted this year. A lot of light will be shed on that topic when we see the planted acreage report that comes out the last Friday of June. Soybeans followed corn on the move up, though it did not have the same story, as the USDA's estimates were pretty neutral for beans. They left yield and new crop acres unchanged. Considering the recent planting conditions we have seen, one would have thought there would have been a slight reduction in either one of those numbers. However, with corn running higher, beans have been tagging along. The trade will be looking at the 18-19 carryout of 1 billion bushels more specifically. Soybeans are looking to find a new demand story that would keep fuel in the bean complex. President Trump and President Xi are planning a meeting at the end of the month. As the trade negotiations with Mexico are behind us, maybe we will see more focus on a deal with China. For the wheat market, there are some concerns about dry weather in Australia and Canada. Here at home, we are looking at a crop that has gotten a record amount of rain. There are concerns about quality and yield tapering back. That being said, it is tough to guess how much wheat we have in the field until we actually see the combines running. This spring has brought a lot of volatility to the market, which makes final decisions even tougher. If you need to sell last year's crop or think you should be starting a new crop but can't decide, consider an alternative strategy. Let us help find the strategy that fits you. Give us a call here at Paragon Ag Advisors at 888-452-8751. I'm Zach Otot. Have a great rest of your day.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us online at KansasAgReport.net. Like us on Facebook at Kansas Ag Report Television Show. Follow us on Twitter at Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.